Yossi's going to do his presentation, and then what I was going to do is swap in some of the guys from the last panel and use up the rest of the 20 minutes. So thank you, guys. Yossi, go. It's your.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, go ahead, please. Yossi's already been introduced, Israel R&D Center director, and has a presentation about data that was going to precede this last panel. We, for time reasons, have flipped it around, so it's going to follow it. Is it working? Yes.
Yeah, so just a quick demo, actually, to illustrate to those of you who haven't seen it. Essentially, it's called Insights for Search, and it's essentially making available the data of what users are searching for to anybody to look at. Actually, there's also ability to export it to a CSV file for those who have more technical people who want to crunch the data on their own. So let me show a few examples. Let me start with a quick one. Looking for ski. So what we see here is this big focus group of the world looking for ski, how it changes, etc. We see the regularity, obviously, over time, and also popularity in the world. We could actually narrow it down to, say, United Kingdom. And then we can also see what other top searches are along ski. So if you had any confusion, those looking for ski typically look for ski holidays, ski club, skiing, ski resorts, etc. So obviously, if you're in the marketing business and you'd like to know when is a good time to start advertising, or in other words, when is a good time, when is it that users start searching for information about ski holidays, here's a hint. And by the way, recently we added these forecasting for all those trends which are quite regular. So for those who don't have in-house, those that can do the extrapolation, it's here. Of course, this is just forecast based on history. It may change over time. A few other examples in the interest of time. Obama versus McCain. This was actually quite fascinating to follow during the campaign. Obviously, it's not very relevant now. Let me actually take it last 12 months. Well, now it's obviously, or take it to even history. So this was quite telling during the campaign, not only because of the relative popularity, but also to see the relative popularity within different states in the US. You can see high correlation between on popularity and searches. Again, kind of a focus group. Another example. Let's see the top results. This is just the trends for general queries related to automotive industry in France. We see some regularity here, so I guess there are some times, probably in the summer, that nobody cares about searching for this sort of stuff. And quite interestingly, you can see what are the top searches, rising searches. We could actually narrow down to the last, say, 7 days. So if you're familiar with Zeitgeist, kind of the list of popular queries published annually by Google about what are the top most popular searches. People are quite excited about to see what's the spirit of time on searches. You can actually get the Zeitgeist on a pretty good granularity. So in this case, this is Zeitgeist of what are the top searches in the last 7 days in France in the automotive industry, and moto, and these are essentially the top ones. These are the rising searches, namely, these are searches which are not quite the most popular, but in the last 7 days, actually, they were rising quite a bit compared to previously. So you can see some kind of trends which are building up if you want to kind of identify them early on before they become a global phenomena. Talking about phenomena, here's a search for Facebook. You can see the kind of growth of Facebook, and we can see how the popularity here is in geography. Well, it would be quite interesting to play back history and see how it spread in the world. So actually, this is another kind of recent feature done by actually an intern in my team, believe it or not. Essentially playing the popularity over time since 2004. So we see in 2007, it's kind of starting, spreading, and you can see essentially the dynamics of how it goes. Actually, it could be interesting to do the same for Twitter. Interestingly about technologies, it seems that every new cool stuff is spreading even faster than before, one can actually ask about this kind of decline. That's a different story on its own, which I leave it to others to interpret. But again, we can see that this is really kind of meteoric growth recently. And if we look at how it spreads over the world, then typically those technology phenomena will start in the US, North America, spread Western Europe, and the global phenomena, of course. So again, this is kind of a glimpse into what can be done. It was quite nice to watch, and again, all sorts of other examples on categories, on comparing different countries. We can compare ski in Switzerland and Australia. You can see the north side and the south side of the globe alternating on interest, quite not surprisingly, and many more. Every query is a story in a way. So it's really a tool. It's really kind of access to information to this focus group. And it's really up to you and others and scholars and to actually dig into the data and find the meaning of that. So these were kind of a glimpse into what you can do just by understanding and the aggregate. Now I should mention everything here is really aggregated, anonymized. There was a comment about long tail. If we have some query that don't have in many searches, we actually don't show it because we don't really want to show phenomena that only a handful of people are doing, because that could actually compromise them. But if you have sufficiently large group, and when we're talking about 1.6 billion internet users, then for most questions we do have sufficiently large samples which actually give us some meaningful data about trends. So this is really, there's this book by Michael Penn about microtrends. I think this is really nanotrends, if you will. And again, we're just scratching the surface about what can be done with that. So with that, I'll leave it to you. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have a question for Yossi? Rigo, right there?
How do you handle multi-language? You know, fashion, mode, whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks for
The question was, how do we handle multi-language queries?
So this can actually handle queries in multiple languages, but today, if the question is, can I look for fashion in all languages simultaneously, the answer is no. You need explicitly to put here, say, fashion, and what's the name in?
Mode, M-O-D-E.
M-O-D.
Can we get the screen back up, please?
So then, let's see, then you'll get kind of the combined information for both.
Can we get the laptop back on? Yoo-hoo. Can we
Well,
get
I
a
guess
screen?
it's
There it is, okay.
E.
M-O-D-E, sorry. So you can actually kind of put together these two, and probably we can compare that in two locations. You can try to compare United Kingdom versus France. So still a lot need to be done manually, and we're getting requests about expanding it, about using synonyms, about all sorts of that stuff. So over time, probably much of it is going to be there, but for the time being, you can actually try to get a lot of it on your own.
Thank you.
How about the non-Roman characters? You know, Chinese, Indian,
Yeah, it's all. The nice thing about using algorithms and statistical methods rather than trying to understand the language so per se, is that you can, it doesn't matter, right? You can put Hebrew, you can put Chinese, you can put Arabic, it doesn't.
So these are engineering problems, not science problems.
Yeah, it's just taking the strings, essentially. So it's agnostic to those, and everything we do is a kind of global, internationalized, etc.
Anybody else? On that note, I want to thank Yossi again. I want to thank a really great audience this morning for putting up with all kinds of Friday the 13th things. You've earned extra lunchtime, and so go for it. It's same place as we were before. The afternoon's kind of basically the same flight path as we had yesterday, except there's only one block of breakouts if you looked, in light of the fact that we're going to probably be a smaller group. So this is a chance to be even more interactive and even more enthusiastic, because you'll be having more airtime for yourself. So go for it, please. Thank you. Okay.